Hello students, good morning. In my last video there were some technical problems. The keyboard was not functioning properly, so I checked out the video. The last part of the video was not to my satisfaction, so I am recording it again, and today we will talk in details about some of the proofs of the properties. So far we have discussed the interpretation and definition of property. You have looked at some of the properties that we are going to discuss today in a more greater detail, and we had a discussion regarding why some of the things that we have learned earlier, for example, the definition of probability as Na over n is not correct. It is not the definition, and why the equally likely assumption that we conveniently assume when computation of probabilities at the earlier 10th level or 11th level, that is not a very good assumption to make. So from now on that discussion is over. So our understand. So this is the definition of our probability from here on. So carefully let us look at the axioms. First axiom is saying that probability is non-negative. The second axiom is saying that probability of the whole set is 1, and the third axiom is saying that if I have a sequence of disjoint events, then probability of their union is the sum of their probabilities. So and they will be stated in this order only. So first I go to the p phi equal to 0. I had discussed about its proof, but I could not type. There I had some problem. So I hope you have tried yourself. So if I take the third axiom, so in the proof, in the third axiom, if I put an equal to phi, for every n, then apply third axiom, axiom 3. What I will get is that then since this all the sets are empty, therefore since all the sets are empty, therefore their union will also be equal to empty, and if I take intersection of any of these sets, they will also be ai intersection aj, that will also be empty. Fine. So disjoint. So axiom 3 will hold. So what I will get from axiom 3 is p of phi, p of the union. So in this case this is phi equal to sum of the, so I'll get summation of now each of the sets is again phi. By axiom 1, we know that p of phi is non-negative. So therefore this equation can hold only when p of phi is equal to 0. So to prove the second, so I have already written here, you can see that if I want to prove that A and B are two disjoint sets, then probability of A plus probability of B is phi. So this has been repeated earlier, that sometimes it is confusing with the third axiom. Third axiom is stated for infinitely many disjoint sets, but here I am talking about finitely many. So 2, and it could also hold for 3. So that is written over here. Property 2 is not axiom 3. To prove property 2, we will need the axiom 3 and p phi equal to 0. So here I am taking that a1 equal to a2 equal to b, and all the ai's are equal to n. Then you check what will be this union. Can you see for yourself? It should not be so difficult. Then what will be this union? Then this union will be definitely, I am sure you can see that A union B. Why? Because rest all the sets are empty. So only sets there are A and B. So you are taking the union of all, means union of A union B. And what will be the intersection of AI intersection AJ in this case? Intersection AJ in this case, I not equal to j. What will be this equal to here? You take intersection of any set with empty set, it is empty. So whether I is 1 and 2 and j is anything from, oh here there is a mistake. So n will start from not 1 2, n will start from 3 4. So first two sets A B, then I am taking everything else to be empty. So if I is either 1 and 2, j is anything from 3 4, then what will happen is you are taking either intersection of A with 5 or B with 5, so that is 5. And then if you both I and j are from 3 onwards, then this is 5. And if one of them is 1, and so if A1 intersection A2, that is A intersection B, but A intersection B are disjoint sets, so this is also 5. So again the properties of axiom 3 is satisfied. So by axiom 3, what we will get? By axiom 3, what we will get? The probability of the union is sum of the probability. So you will get probability of A union B is equal to probability of A plus probability of B plus probability of phi A added infinitely many times. But we have proved that P phi is equal to 0. Therefore, probability of A union B will be equal to probability of A plus probability of B. Now here I will apply A equal to so A is there, take the others. I will apply just property 2 with the two sets A and A complement. A complement are disjoint sets by definition, are disjoint joint sets. Therefore by property 2 what we will have is probability of their union is equal to probability of A plus probability of A complement. So we can write probability of A, just write it here. So instead of B, I will take instead of B it will be A complement. Oh, it will I'll have to use A complement. So this will be equal to, and instead of B you will again have A complement. So now what is A union A complement? It is probability of S. But by axiom 1, so this is probability of the whole set S. Every set here is a subset of S. So therefore S, A union A complement is S. So but by axiom 1, what do we know? Axiom 2, by axiom 2 P of S is 1, hence the result. So therefore that is what the result is. That is what we are saying. We are saying that these two add up to 1. So 1 is one A complement is 1 minus A. Now this is a simple looking, but all these are mighty useful results, because often suppose I want to compute probability of an event A, it may not be easy to compute, but we can sometimes more easily compute the complement. So I'll give you one example. maybe I'll write the example here. Example of how useful this property 3 is. A coin is tossed, a fair coin, let me make it clear, so that fair means equally likely assumption holds, and so your good old method of computing, which is total number of cases by favorable cases by total number, will work out here. A fair coin is tossed 10 times. What is the chance of getting at least one head? So a coin is tossed 10 times. What is the chance of getting at least one head? So here you see, if I want to compute this probability, what is the event that at least one head occurs? That means how many heads can occur? There may be, if all are tails, then there is 0 heads. Out of 10, 1 toss could be a head. So 2 tosses could result in head, and 10 tosses. So you will have to find the probability of 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 heads. So you have to find the probability so you will have, since the coin is fair, there are how many possible outcomes? There are 2 to the power 10 possible outcomes, and in the numerator you have to compute the number of ways in which you can have at least one head. So in this case, lot easier is what? What is the complement of this event? The complement of this event is that at least one, or complement is no head. So here A complement, if A is this event, A is the event of getting at least one head, then A complement then this A complement will be what? This is the event of getting all tails, right? No heads means tails. So now this is far easier to compute. What is probability of A complement here? So there is only one way in this can occur, that is everything is a tail. So in the numerator, why this ratio is coming here? Because of this equally likely assumption. We have assumed in the example that the coin is fair. So our good old method, A complement contains how many? 1 divided by total number of cases, 2 to the power 10. So it's done. So what will be probability of A complement? Probability of A. So probability of A is 1 minus 2 to the power 10. So that's the result. That's how you get it. So this is a quick demonstration of, sometimes it often happens that direct computation of an event may be lot more challenging. Instead, the complement of that event may be easier to compute. So this is how it is. And then if A is a subset of B, then probability of A is less than probability of B. So you see, if you draw this Venn diagram, so A is inside B. So you can split B into two disjoint sets, A and B union A, B minus A. B minus A represents that part of B which you get by excluding the elements of A. Now by property, these are disjoint sets. Now I have not written here. I think you can see that A and B minus A are disjoint sets. So by property 2, probability of B will be probability of A plus probability of B minus A. So this is trivial, but I want you to see A and B minus A are disjoint, and now by axiom 1, you see probability of B minus A cannot be negative. So therefore, hence the result. So the video